What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video at JDH Aquatics. Today we're going to be talking about why I do minimalistic reefing. So if you're new to the channel, we've got a couple tanks set up that are really quite easy to keep. The first one here that we're showing is the 38-gallon Softie dominated reef tank. It's got a few pieces of LPS but nothing crazy in it. It's got mostly Sinularias and toadstools in it, as well as a couple fish, mostly Softies in this tank, incredibly easy to take care of. The second tank we have set up is slightly different. It's a 20-gallon aquarium that is intended to grow the mangroves that you guys see on the left side. There is a few pieces of Softies in there as well, so any frags that we get out of the 38-gallon, we trickle them in and put them into the 20-gallon. So it's kind of like a catch-all frag tank, but the main focus is supposed to be on the mangroves. So as you guys can see, it's got its own light over the plants. And then we do have a new light coming in for this tank, but we have just a simple Aquanite 30-watt LED for the frags. But super easy tank as well. Don't do much to this aquarium. And all the corals, like I said, are just frags from mother colonies that I already have. So virtually a free stocked tank, but really easy to take care of. So there's a couple reasons why I like to do this minimalistic reefing, and some of you guys might be curious as to what I mean by minimalistic reefing. As you guys can see, I don't have a lot of equipment on my tanks. We do have an ATO on the 38-gallon, but that's the only other piece of equipment aside from the return pump or power heads that we have running for the tank. We don't have any skimmers, and of course we don't have any dosers as well. And then on the 20-gallon, we don't even have an ATO on that tank. So on that aspect of equipment, we are minimalistic there. And then the other side of that is the type of coral that we keep. Having these Softies in the tank means we can be a little bit more negligent when it comes to water changes or even topping off the tank. They can take a little bit more of a beating. They do like a little bit dirtier water, so phosphates, nitrates being just a smidge higher than 0, where SPS, like that pristine water, these Softies like a little bit dirtier water. Along with that, we're able to frag a lot of these corals. They're really easy to get, little frags out of and propagate. So when it comes to stocking other tanks like this 20-gallon, we're just filling it up with more easy coral that we already had. So it's super easy and fun to kind of play around with these corals. You can grow them out and start to fill up, some different tanks that you set up over time. And all of the coral in those tanks is gonna be easy because they're Softies. Now we do have a couple mangrove pods up here, and from my experience, these have been relatively easy to keep. I don't wanna say that this is a beginner type of saltwater thing or it's easy to keep, because this is my first go around and I could just be lucky, but they have grown over the past 6 months and they are doing quite well. I would consider these one of those easy to keep things that you can put in, a Softie tank, and kind of just let the water get dirty and have them grow out. I know some of you watching probably got into the hobby because you wanted some sort of challenge. And to a certain degree, I would say I got into the hobby because of that as well. I do like a little bit of a challenge and trying to figure things out and solve the puzzle, if you will. But for Softies being so easy, there's something to that. I mentioned before that these corals are really easy to frag, and I just love how robust they are. They are one of the prettier corals in my opinion. I think the toadstools with the polyp extensions and the different color combinations you can get is really awesome, and the combination of ease with these corals with how they look is just a win-win. So what would be the opposite of what we're doing? What would be the opposite of minimalistic reefing? Well, we could throw some dosers on the tank, we could up the filtration, add some skimmers, we could probably up the lighting even and add a little bit more wattage over the tank, and out of that we could probably get some good SPS in there. But that's not really my goal. What I like to share with you guys is almost like dummy how-to reefing. I like to keep it simple and I try to keep it cheap. That's kind of the two main objectives in my channel. I am still a college student, so cost is a factor, as it is for most people in this hobby. So not having a lot of equipment, we save on electricity there, as well as the initial cost of purchasing those products. And the other factor to that is time. I don't test, I don't dose, I do minimal feeding, and I barely do water changes. I haven't done a water change in probably 2 months on either of these tanks, which this one needs it. As you guys can see, we need to do a nice gravel vac. but these tanks don't get that much treatment. And the corals are okay with that. And that's kind of the point of this minimalistic reefing. It works a little bit on both sides, where the corals like a little bit of that dirtier water, and you can sit back and be a little bit more lenient on your cleaning and your husbandry. Now, to finish off the video, I am gonna back up here a little bit, because that doesn't mean at any point in the future we're not gonna set up a high-tech tank or an SPS dominated tank. Because once we move in the next 6 months, I do plan on setting up something that has a little bit more tech to it and a little bit more automation as well. So as much as I do like the easy to keep stuff, we'll keep it around, but at some point we are going to try to level up and set up, you know, a slightly more high-tech tank, something a little bit more bougie, you know what I'm talking about. But for the time being, this is what we got going on, because it's cheap, it's easy. If you guys have any questions, please leave it in the comments down below. And if you'd like to check out my other socials, the links are in the description below. But with all that being said, I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.